There's a psychological reality many families fail to notice. When children grow up hearing constant comparisons, something quiet begins to change inside them. Not just their behavior, their sense of self. And over time, comparison stops being a moment of correction and becomes a permanent lens through which they see themselves. Child psychologists often describe this as comparison conditioning. It happens when a child repeatedly hears statements like, "Look at how well they're doing. Why can't you be more like them? Your friend manages it. Why don't you?" At first, it may sound like motivation, but slowly the child's brain stops focusing on growth. Instead, it begins measuring worth. And the difficult part is this. Many parents use comparison believing it will push children to improve. But in psychology, comparison rarely builds confidence. More often, it quietly begins to erode it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When a child is constantly compared, the brain stops asking, "How can I improve?" Instead, it begins asking, "Am I enough?" And that question can follow someone far beyond childhood. And once comparison becomes a habit inside the mind, it doesn't stay limited to childhood. It begins shaping emotions, relationships, and decisions. Here are 9 psychological effects that often grow from it. Number 1. The first change happens quietly. A child begins to question their own abilities. Even when they succeed, a voice inside wonders whether someone else could have done it better. Over time, this becomes constant inner doubt. Number 2. Next comes hesitation. When mistakes are constantly highlighted through comparison, trying something new starts to feel risky. Instead of exploring freely, the child begins avoiding situations where they might fall short. Number 3. Another subtle effect appears in identity. Rather than discovering who they truly are, some children begin shaping themselves around expectations. Their interests, choices, and even personality start revolving around what seems acceptable or impressive to others. Number 4. Comparison can also create hidden resentment. When someone else's success is constantly placed beside their own struggles, the brain begins linking that success with discomfort. Instead of feeling inspired, the child may quietly feel pressure or bitterness. Number 5. Some children respond differently. Rather than competing or resisting, they withdraw. Sharing thoughts, opinions, or achievements begins to feel pointless because no matter what they do, someone else seems to be the standard. Number 6. Another effect touches self-worth. When praise only appears after outperforming someone else, a child begins believing their value depends on results, not on effort, not on growth, only on winning comparisons. Number 7. With time, this pressure can create constant performance anxiety. Every test, activity, or conversation starts feeling like an evaluation. The child isn't simply learning anymore, they're proving themselves again and again. Number 8. This can also affect relationships. Celebrating someone else's achievement becomes difficult, not because the child wishes others harm, but because success has been linked to personal inadequacy. And eventually, the most lasting effect forms. Comparison becomes an internal habit. Even in adulthood, the mind continues measuring life against others, their success, their progress, their achievements. Instead of focusing on personal growth, the mind stays trapped in constant evaluation. If some of these patterns sound familiar, that realization is important because comparison doesn't always appear harsh. Often it hides inside ordinary conversations. Children grow best when progress is measured against their own development, not someone else's. Encouraging effort, curiosity, and individuality helps the brain focus on growth instead of competition. When children feel valued for who they are becoming, confidence develops naturally. Parents, have you ever noticed how comparison affects a child's confidence? And for those who grew up hearing comparisons, how did it shape the way you see yourself today? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to understand more about the hidden psychology behind behavior, relationships, and emotional development, subscribe for more videos.